write about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
That was the great sounds of Watson with Outside on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made. EZ Blues is in the building. Easy Blues, you are better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us today on Behind the Brand?
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to understand. Let's have a moment. Let's have a comprehensive moment. So everyone, take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Now I want to take you back. I want to take you back to the goldenness that was hip-hop, to the jazzmatazz, to the guru, to the Tribe Called Quest, to those beats that just absolutely took your soul in another direction, that was based off of this phenomenal jazz music that came through. Now I want to add, sprinkle on top of that, an incredible positive energy and a positive message. One about having fun. Yes, look, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and there's a lot of pain going on in the world. Now, we could sit here and we can jump into that pain. We could dive into that pain. And hey, for those who have ever listened to Champagne, you know that we do that sometimes. But every once in a while, too, we make sure that you sit in that happy thought, right? And this act right now, this human being right now, lives in that happy thought moment, and it is an honor and a privilege. I was blessed enough last month to share a bill and a stage with this man, and from that point on, I mean, we've just been in geek love since. He's now my new BFF. So put your hands together, not if you're driving, and keep your hands at 10 and 2, because we don't need any accidents, but put your hands together mentally, put those geek hands together, clapping in rhythm and in time for KLOKWIZE. Brother, how have you been?
Much love, man. Good to see you guys. All is good. That was so nice. I'll never be able to say anything as eloquent as that.
Yeah. I'm a little known for the intros. It's kind of our shtick, you know. He keeps saying once we get a couple more followers and stuff, I'm gonna start jumping on Cameo and offer them for like $9.99.
Yeah.
Go.
You know,
the most momentous birthday. On this blessed day.
Exactly. But yo, that's awesome, and thank you for giving us our props. So this actual show is 100% about you. For those who don't know you, you have been, you know, a musician and grinding away for a little bit now. Mm-hmm. What turned you on to becoming an entertainer? And was it automatically hip hop, or did you start off with theater?
That's a really good question. I definitely always played like rhyming games as a really little kid. Like I was always interested in language and spelling and and my mom would throw words out and I would try to do rhyming games. And so I always knew I was interested in that. But then as a kid, I grew up like in the 2000s with like so much great hip hop, great rock music, great alternative music. There was so much awesome stuff to be influenced by. But I don't think I was really gonna play guitar to a proficient level. My singing was all new as a kid, but what I could do was yell and bark and scream and get my emotions out. And hip hop really has this like man on the street reporter reporting about the environment kind of feel, and that hit me as a teenager. I had so many feelings, and so I was living a crazy life and having fun, and so hip hop really made sense to me, and just went in from there. And like it's just gotten, it's been way more than I ever would have expected as a kid from West Hartford, Connecticut. Like I've been able to, you know, work with so many big people and travel and see the historic kind of things. So I love hip hop. I love it. I love the music, but I love all the influences too.
No, it's awesome, and I love the fact that you kind of brought up that man on the street type of thing, because for those who don't know, and there's been a lot of critique and stuff out there, and a lot of people using their own ignorance to state that hip hop is not a form of music. But for those who really, that explanation of being the man on the street, that's where music really came from. Music came from, there wasn't newspapers. There was a dude standing at the corner in a town with his lute and telling you that, you know, Bubba Joe, the blacksmith, is having a sale, and, you know, the king has just raised the taxes. So it's great to see how it has come kind of full circle And a lot of people don't necessarily understand or appreciate that. And I think that's where a lot of people get lost. Also, let's be real, there's a lot of bitterness in the world, and a lot of people, are just mad that they're not driving the good cars and they're not living in the big houses. And so they're bitter, and it is what it is. How do you maintain your positivity? Because, like, look, I've hung out with you. We've had many conversations. You have an incredible positive energy to you. That is, it's soul nurturing. How do you maintain that, especially in the face of all these haters and people that are living in their bitter?
I appreciate that. And I think, I'm able to be most of the time so kind of free now and happy because I made it out alive from so many terrible things. And all of us sort of have our different cards that we get dealt. And so, I made it out alive from so many things. By the time my first album was out at 22, I was fresh out of rehab, for just a drinking problem and a lifestyle problem and just being out and doing crazy things. That's what my music was about early on. And then I sort of got sober and had to figure out the apologies tour. I had to figure out so many things of like who I want to be, who am I inside, outside of all the like videos and the tours and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that's what inspires people. I think, a lot of us don't have the nice cars and the sick house and the attention, right? And all that. And so I think I like speaking for that contingent, because there's enough people that are doing the flexy videos with all the flashy stuff. And it's like, I like to provide that contrast. I know I made it out alive from like crazy stuff, and everybody has. So that's really where I come from with it. And so if I'm able to be happy and joyous and free in any way, it's because life is challenging, but here we are, and that's what the music is about. I think the music is about being yourself and like sticking to your guns and having that self-care. That's what Call Me Crazy, the new record, is about. But I also think that like people just hate everything. Like if you look now at like a movie that comes out, like a Marvel or a DC or anything, everybody just hates it in the comments. That just makes it real. I think that just makes it an actual piece of entertainment. If people are engaging with it and they're talking about and they're dropping you comments, then I think as an artist, you've done your job.
No, definitely. And that's a huge point. And for those that are just starting out, I want you to really take a moment and hear what was just said. I'm going to try to break it down a little bit different. Anybody who's ever been a fan of Cat Williams has the amazing thing, if you only have 10 haters right now, push for tomorrow to get 100. And if you don't have someone you hate on, feel free to hate on me, because that just means I'm moving forward and I'm succeeding, but it can wear on you. Understand that although, yes, this is a business, it is also an art form, and all art is subjective. But as long as it is evoking an emotion, then the art is good. Now, that emotion could be, I absolutely love this, or like a Primus, like a Mr. Bungle. It could be something you cannot truly comprehend and actually, makes you not like it, but you're still evoking an emotion. And that is the key of true good art, to love or hate as long as you are evoking an emotion. So go back, grab the pen, and start to write from what you know and what you feel. I say it all the time. Bob Dylan, I live and die by the Bob Dylan phrase. If you're going to be an outlaw, you better be honest. And that's one of the things I really love about what you do, is you don't talk about things you haven't done. You don't talk about things that are outside of your zone or outside of the life you truly live. And I think that's why so many people are able to vibe with you, you don't run that gamut of cultural appropriation to have that uncomfortable conversation, because you're talking about stuff that actually happens in your life.
Yeah, and that's something that more and more, my first album came out in 2012, and like Gym Class Heroes was out, and like Swayze, and like just kind of lighter hip hop that was maybe geared towards whiter audiences was out 10 years ago. But I think the conversation has gotten more and more zoned in on, with the internet and with everything and obviously with some of the terrible injustices, like it really has zoned in on like this conversation. And And so I just try to, like you said, I write about things that happen to me. I don't try to put on as anything. Like I am just a dude on the street. Like was on a tour one time and the guy was like, you can't just be a guy on stage in your clothes. Like that's not an image. And I'm like, no, that is the image. Like, I think that's the authenticness is what you can bring to it, right? You might not have the same life as someone else. My struggle may be different as someone else, but we're all having such a like torturous human experience on the planet together, and there's so much that is relatable. And so yeah, I hope that I'm using my platform to help, and like a lot of my music has all sorts of different folks on it, and I'm here to listen because I can't be the person to like be the bastion of this. Like I need to listen, right? As an Irish person, as a white guy. So I'm here to listen and whatever I can do to help, because Black folks discovered me, like Uncle Dave and DJ Quick from LA, who were my mentors, discovered me on YouTube and saw my video and gave me a call and flew me out to California. And that was it. And I got there and there was a car waiting for me. And that was a big turning point for me. So, Black folks invented this music. They discovered me. I hope I can just add some sizzle and some razzle dazzle to something that is already there, and and contribute. It's about contributing, I hope so.
Well, exactly. And I think that's awesome. And for those that really need the proof, he's not just saying this. Okay, we did the show at the Spaceland Ballroom, and we had this amazing artist, Alea, phenomenal vocalist, but she was also the only female on the bill. You went out of your way to make sure the collabs that were going to be there at that show were female. You had at least 2 females on there, so she didn't have to feel alone. You didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
That's amazing, and I want to give you your flowers for that, because I really think, although it was something that was subtle, it had a huge impact, and I really, really appreciate you for that.
I really appreciate that, man. That means a lot, because I do think about that stuff. And like I have a little sister who was like a sort of a feminist studies college person and sort of gave me that new understanding of stuff. Like when you watch a movie and you're like, why don't any of the women have jobs in this movie, or or whatever, things like that. Or people of color, like why are there no people of color in the science lab in whatever movie I'm watching, like whatever it is, there's all these blind spots. So all I can do, like I said, is try to evolve. And like this conversation has really refined because people can talk to each other better about it. So yeah, I definitely think about it. It's definitely like on purpose to try to set a good example, right? We got to set a good example. And Alyssa and Angela bring so much to it. When you see the live show, if you come see the Clockwise show, I mean, they're amazing. I'm lucky to have them. But it is also like, let's do everything we can to be a good example.
No, definitely. And it's never just about the spotlight that can be shined upon you. It's one of those things of, and being as pale as and Irish as we are, good spotlights usually reflect off of us anyway.
Yeah, no,
it's to reflect onto somebody different. You know what I mean? Just being real.
It's important to see yourself and to feel seen, and to like, I was at a school play the other day that one of my friends who's a teacher was on, and I'm like, he was involved in it, and it was little kids, and I'm looking at it and I'm going like, where's the me on that stage? Where's the me at 13 on that stage? And that's what art is, and I think as an artist too, what I'm doing on stage is trying to not be a big like performative fake thing, but try to let people in, because we all want to be like, where is the me on the stage or in the show? Then I get that, and I don't think that's too over the top for anybody.
I love every aspect of that. And, one of the other really cool things is that day watching your set from the audience, someone actually came up to me and was like, hey, I don't know, maybe you set the wave riding just great, but I've seen Clockwise a bunch of times. This is the most I've ever seen him smile consistently on stage. And it was just a glorious type of aspect. And man, your bass player is just vicious, man. Let's take a minute and just say your rhythm section, man, that bass player is nasty in all the best ways. So shout out to finding the right people for the right job.
That is it, because you can play the same songs and just be in different life states, and it's hard to shake certain things off sometimes. And even to the biggest acts, we all know people that you know, we wish they could shake off certain things and get back to their like the happy place. And so I've
Mm-hmm.
had definitely, and so Lawrence V. White, my bass player that I work with, is just incredible. And him and Rich Stone have both really proven to be people that are shooting at the same target that I'm shooting at. We're moving in the same direction. They really get it. And yeah, they bring so much musicality to it because I make a lot of the beats with like little samples and I play stuff. And then I add vocals, and I'll do a lot of that on the computer. And then these guys really make it, like you said, the rhythm section, and make it music.
Mm-hmm.
So they're awesome.
Yeah, no, it was very, very, very cool. Now, what's the next step? You know, obviously we weathered through the pandemic, yada yada yada. We could, you know, get into that all day long. We're in the positive vibe right now. We're going to talk about, you know, what's the next step? What's the next evolution? Are we going to see like, you know, Clockwise pictures?
That's a very good question. I love that. I'm producing more, and I've been working with a lot of artists. So, like, if you go online on Spotify right now, I have one out with Asher, who's an amazing singer from Nashville, and that's called "Tell Me So." I have one out with Self Suffice and Tank Sauce, who we just played with last month, which was great. And so that's out. I'm definitely, my YouTube channel is really updated right now. I have one we did during the pandemic where I'm playing like James Bond. I did like a James Bond parody one. That one was a blast, and that's doing really well online. And then so if you're not plugged in, it's KLOKWIZE. I'm definitely, you know, putting out a lot of music right now, and I'm going single by single because people are different now. Like I used to spend so much time putting out a 12-track tape, and then with the streaming services, which are both good and bad, that's new on the streaming service for like 30 days or something. And then they, you know, something else is in the new section. So for artists, you know, I'm going single by single now, and I have a whole album worth of stuff here. But if I'm putting out one every other month or something, it can always be new in the new section on the streaming apps. And you stay in the release radar area. And so that's been a good experiment. So that's one thing is I would say, like, plug in, give me a follow, drop me a line, let me know how you like the music, and just know a lot of that's coming. And yeah, we'll see. I like to say with the art stuff, it's all this, the phone rings and you pick it up, and me, I usually say yes. 9 times out of 10, I just say yes. But the phone rings, and if you're an actor, if you're a designer, if you're a music artist, if you're a video person, any of these things, like you sort of pick up the phone, and the next thing hopefully is coming. And when the phone's not ringing, that's right, when it's tough. And that's when I'm playing a show and I'm not smiling. But hopefully, you know, everyone's got good years and bad years.
Well, I love what you kind of just said there, and that you kind of gave a whole release strategy for the independent artists that I want to sit in for a little bit and really want to flesh out, because it's important. I love the single for single. That's one of the things that we're doing with Shane Penguin as well. But we're also doing it with the, you know, we're going to release the record. You know, we've already released 4 singles off of the record. Maybe all 4 of them will be on there. Maybe there'll be a different album version of one of them on the actual record itself. But then once the record even gets released, we're going to try to release every single one of those songs as singles as well, moving forward and moving on. And the reason why we are doing that is to exactly what you said, stay in that new category, you know, help to break that type of algorithm, because it's super important, you know. And when you're going forward and doing this, you know, for some of those artists that are really just out there and say they've got their distro kid and that's where they're going, release singles every 2 months, but then also release the album on Bandcamp.
Tell me more about the Bandcamp, because I have a Bandcamp, but I want to hear your thoughts about it.
I really appreciate Bandcamp because we have 100% control. You can do whatever, you know, you can also put your merchandise up there and different things like that. So it can become a second source of income. But what's incredible, since the pandemic started, the first Friday of the month, they have this thing called Fee Free Day. So, you know, any other time they are taking a percentage of what is purchased. You know, so you have it up there, you're using their site. Say it's like, I'm not giving the actual numbers, but say it's like a 60-40 split. You take 60%, they take 40%. And they do that because, you know, you're using their site, their service to get your music out there. But that Friday, The first Friday of the month, they waive their fee to try to help the artists that are out there to move forward. So that's when, you know, you're like, hey, you know, drop a bunch of singles, and then the first of that month, drop the album, you know, and this way that's up there, and then, hey, pick up that entire album, you know, and move forward in that type of aspect. It was actually something that Wata and I, when the pandemic first started, every first Friday of the month, we would take $25 each, and we would buy like a single from a whole bunch of different artists, and then share the transaction, the purchasing of the single, how people could get that single throughout the entire day to try to help boost up everybody's algorithm. You know, it's one of the things that I fully believe in. We can only rise together. So as much as, again, like what you do, when that spotlight shines upon our fair skin, it reflects to so many other deserving artists. And that's the most important thing. And that's why I was so honored and blessed when Prestige was like, hey, let's do a radio show.
On WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Raised, Elm City made, Easy BlueZ in the building. Let's stop talking about us. Let's start talking more about KLOKWIZE. I can barely speak. You opened up for Doug E. Fresh. Did you meet him? Was it a good experience if you did?
I didn't meet Doug. I did open for him at a big amphitheater, like early in my career, and it was amazing. I mean, being a kid, when you run out and do the really big shows where you like it was like an outdoor big amphitheater in Harvard, you sort of run out and it's just a field of people. And when you're younger, I feel like you're less scared. The older you get, you start going, well, maybe these people don't like my branding, or maybe these people are, but when you're 17, 18 and you're in your first band or whatever, and you run out, I killed it. It was fun, but you think everyone loves you. You just think everyone's gonna love this, and you don't have that. It's pure. You don't have that extra thought. So yeah, no, I did play with him. A lot of the people that I've gotten to meet that I played shows with were like Warren G, which was legendary. I have a Warren G. I have it up in a frame because I accidentally ate his sandwich. We were in the tent, and I was on tour with DJ Quick for a bunch of shows, and he produced A Little Respect, which you can find online, one of my songs, A Little Respect. And we were in the tent, and I thought it was Quick's table, and I was eating the sandwich, and it was Warren G's table. And he was so cool, and he's really tall. So that was a fun story. I got to meet Nipsey when he was alive. We were neighbors in a studio, and he was reading a book. It was like 2 p.m. There was no like gangster pretense. He was reading a book, the 44 Immutable Laws of Business, guys. That was
that makes a lot of sense coming from him. That makes so much sense. You also, when he was alive, rest in peace, opened up for Black Rob too. Am I right?
Yeah, I did a show with Black Rob in Hartford, actually, at a nightclub, and he was smoking a blunt on the dance floor. That's another person that, you know, you're in the shuffle with these big nightclubs, and I wish I could have really like gotten close and gave him more time. But he was in there partying. I was standing watching him. But Black Rob is someone that is like the kind of MC I like. Like I really was into him, Beanie Siegel, Scarface, as far as stuff like that people are just gruff and telling you their real like stuff that happened to them, telling you a story, and that stuff always like hit me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Tell me about the experience at the Warped Tour. What was that like, networking with a whole bunch of different independent artists? That's a real good mecca to network too.
Yeah, Warped Tour was one of the coolest things that has happened to me. That was great. That was right after my first album, Hood Hippie, came out in 2012. Was like really blew up in this cult way and was considered like such a hot item. So I got to pick up a bunch of dates. And so I was on, you'd have the really big stage with the really big acts, and then you have the side stage. And so Warped Tour goes side to side, little stage, big stage, little stage, big stage. So I was on the side stage for Mac Lethal, who was the guy that did, I'm making pancakes.
Right.
So I would play my set, he would play his set, and we'd go back and forth and da-da-da. And yeah, I mean, that's really where I feel like you find your audience, right? If we're talking about branding and stuff, is I'm looking around and I'm realizing that was always what the audience was. It was skateboarders, it was people smoking a doobie, it was like graffiti, it was the mall, it was vans. It was like, I think that's really where a lot of my audience was. My audience wasn't like the nightclub people. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I don't think they were the super gangster people. I think it was these
Right.
kind of kids that had that influence, that like almost punk rock or just 90s retro influence. I love that. And so that was really early on. I was like, these are the folks that are going to get this.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of folks who are going to get this, just going a whole different bunch of tours. I'm just reading your whole resume. We talk about Foxwoods Casino and different other places you've been through around the United States. Did touring help you understand different audiences and different demographics as an artist? Help you with different set lists and what to play, and just make yourself a little bit more organized as a performer and as a professional.
Totally. And you really realize that when you start to do shows that get bigger and bigger in audience or in scale or in officialness or whatever, as an artist, you start to realize that 10 seconds of stage time or 30 seconds of stage time is long when you have lots of audience there. And so like when you're playing a little show at the bar with your 20 people and you fiddle with your laptop and you kind of get your song ready or whatever you're doing, it doesn't feel long. But when you're on some of these big shows and they start throwing you out, your show has to be on rails, cue to cue, because any of these little gaps you can get eaten alive. And so and sometimes you just play the wrong shows, like as I love being an opener. I've been an opener for so many people. I'll if people call me for openers, I take them because like people are already there to have a good time. I'm fun. I think me and people can build a like relationship, but every once in a while you're just on the wrong gig and that can shake you up. Like I've definitely played a couple shows where I was on the wrong gig or the timing they had me on is bad or whatever. People want to see who they want to see. And sometimes you get people kind of banging and uneasy, especially when you're an opener on tours. And so, yeah, you just have to like try to build your relationship, but not let it shake you up if you have a bad show. Everyone's gonna have a bad show. You can't let it completely like shake you up.
Yeah, you can't get broken down by it. But easy, I see the light bulb on top of your head, man. Go right ahead.
Well, no, it's true. It's one of those philosophies I'd actually learned from Doyle Brunson, phenomenal Texas Hold'em player, won, I think, back-to-back World Series of Poker with the same exact hand at 10-2. They actually called it Doyle Brunson. But he, when you're playing cards and when you're emotionally invested in anything, when you start to lose, you then let your emotions take over and that can carry you through. But he states, he's like, look, I don't treat that tournament as one tournament. I treat my entire career of playing cards as one whole round of playing cards.
Wow.
I lost that tournament, so now I'm on to the next hand. I'm always looking for that next hand. I'm always trying to play for that next hand. And it's so true in business, and it's so true in entertainment, where, yeah, you're going to have those things that should shake you to the core because, there are natural hierarchies. For example, we feel the same way. We'll play any show at any point with absolutely anyone. Should we be playing a Swedish death metal show? Probably not. They're not going to like us. But it'll be a fun story to tell later, and we're going to try it anyway. Worst case scenario, they already hated us. Best case scenario, we get a couple people dancing with penguins, and it's a fun time. You have to have that, but those type of shows can shake you. Trying to go and we were lucky enough to be blessed that hip hop loves us. So playing a couple of hip hop shows where people are expecting standing there like this, and we were there with a guitar and a drum. They're like, "What are you doing?" And then the minute we start doing, you watch more heads start to bob. You watch more people start to feel it, and that's a great moment. But it can shake you to your core. I'm still going over, still licking wounds from shows in 2000 that didn't, when I got kicked off the stage because we weren't as organized as what you stated before. And again, this is the time where you pull over to the side of the road and take out your pen and your notebook. Be prepared. Practice isn't just writing your stuff. Practice isn't just getting your flow together or jumping on a treadmill to make sure that you've got your win. Practice is also setting up. Practice is also breaking down because, the less time you spend doing that, the more time you have on stage.
Yes. And there's some shows where they throw you in and there's not load-in time. Like when you go to a rock show, there's sort of an expected half hour maybe between the rock bands. But yeah, you do some of these variety shows, hip hop shows, fashion shows where you're the band, they're just they throw you out on your ears, you know, you gotta go. And so yeah, no, it's interesting.
No, it definitely is, and I love that you're actually addressing that, because there's a lot of people that don't. There's a lot of people that, well, you know, we just because you got awesome at your local bar, and people love you there, and you can take 45 minutes to set up, and you can make sure your amp is tuned absolutely perfect. You know, you can do that at your local bar. You cannot do that at some of the higher level shows. You literally have to be ready to go on a dime. And also that goes for all the drummers that are out there. 9 times out of 10, if you're playing a bigger show, you're not playing on your kit.
Right.
You know, so I'm glad your drum is tuned to the perfect way that you play it, but you have to wind up being diverse enough to be able to play on anything and to make it sound listenable. It doesn't necessarily have to sound good, because that's why we stay in the punk rock aspect. We can be just bad enough to be good. You know, you have
that's
that
genre. That's important, because that's the fun part of it, is almost the mistakes and stuff is what makes it punk, or make not elevator music. It's what makes it not elevator music, right? So like that stuff is important. We gotta keep all that. And yeah, no, and I think like, oh man, anybody can like, I definitely had times where I wasn't appreciating it. Like the other day we were sitting, there was a really nice dressing room at the venue we played in last month. And I was sitting there looking at the red couches, and there's like coffee and stuff. And I'm like, I sat in a lot of these 10 years ago, maybe especially my first album came out and was doing really well. And I don't know it. I think I took it for granted, and I had a lot of ego, and I don't know if I fully appreciated just where we were and what we were doing and what we were able to do. And so now like post pandemic, everybody had to reset. Everyone sort of has to make a new path, find some new outlets and new connections and everything. And I'm really like appreciating everything, every show, everything that I'm doing, every person that wants to talk to you about your music, any person that catches you at a show or leaves you a comment or tunes in that wants to talk to you about your music. Like, I mean, that's such a huge opportunity. So I think it was nice to have a couple years where we couldn't go out as much, to really decide like, all right, how do I want to approach this? How do I want to approach the music, the show? I really want to step it up. I want to challenge myself. I don't want to be complacent, you know?
No, of course. Definitely. No, and a lot of people really understand that complacency can equal death in an art industry. You know, you have to be pushing those boundaries. And you know, I love the fact that we finally have an artist up here who's willing to talk about the art of the performance as much as the art of the song as well, because I too am someone who likes to jump around and act a fool. And there's an art form to it, you know. Yes, there's an art form to my buffoonery.
You have good cues and stuff in your show too. I sort of black out. Like I always have things I'm supposed to tell people, like, yo, the single just came out this week, or I have a show at blah blah next week. I'm supposed to tell these people these things in the show on stage, and I just black out, dude. Like
here you want the secret, and again, everyone lean in close, because I practice them. Like when we do practices, I practice the set like it's live.
Right.
So like I will go over like, and this is the moment where I say da 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 da, and I'll say it to the guys. And if I can make them laugh and smile, then I know I'm on to a good thing, and it becomes muscle memory. So you know, if we have a show, we'll spend 2 or 3 weeks at practice, you know, doing that set 3 or 4 times a week. You know, and then when we're there for game time, I know, you know, I come from a military background, I come from a martial arts background, and you train as you fight. So our practices are just 4-hour performances for me.
Wow.
You know, so that's what I do. But that's
train as you want to love that.
You train. Muramoto Musashi. I have his Book of 5 Rings. I have it tattooed on my arm. But yeah.
Train while you fight.
Yeah. So.
But Clockwise, you've always been a fighter. I'm just looking at your catalog on YouTube, man. There's a lot of great inspirational videos. If you can tell your 2012 version of yourself something that your 2022 version knows now, what would it be? Because it's been a decade ever since Bad Hippie when you think about it.
Yeah.
10 years of Clockwise.
Yeah.
I think I would tell myself to not take myself so seriously and
Right.
to like just listen to my like have more faith in myself to like listen to my own opinion more. Because
Mhm.
I think my first album came out, I was 22 or 23. I was on a label. And you know, it's not like anything goes wrong tragically in my career or anything other than you lose the initial thing that was so special. Maybe you're trying to top your first album for the rest of your career, and I think I took too much pressure and too much seriousness on being like writing the next American great song and like being a genius, and you know, people put so much pressure on you, and I had so many people working sort of for the business for it, working with me, and I just felt so much pressure to like win the Super Bowl and be a genius. And I don't think that's where you write good music from. So, you know, I love the music I'm doing now. I love all the stuff, you know, all my music, but I think lately I'm really back into like how I felt in high school or how I
Mhm.
felt as a kid. And I'm doing stuff that inspires me and that I would want for my heart, something that my heart can use. And so, yeah, I would tell myself 10 years not to take it so seriously and to just to write the stuff as it comes and to laugh more.
Well, one thing you do take seriously, what I'm watching right now, is a lot of your videos. There's a lot of great storytelling behind it. How much concept and how much creative control do you have when it comes to just visually showing your artwork instead of audio for
So
your
I'm
artwork?
like, for you know, for better or worse, I
Yeah.
am like really involved in the videos, and
Hmm.
so they're all really fun and distinct. A lot of them are silly. They're all really well produced. Like you said, I hire great people. Like I have Rick D.
Right.
Michelle as my video guy, and Brian Swarmestead. Those are my two guys that are New Haven based. I know you guys know Rick as well.
Hmm.
So I'll usually, dude, I build sets. I get like things of cardboard and spray paint and like, you know, I build sets. I order big backgrounds. I have a green screen in my
Oh,
basement. I'm not a camera proficient like Hollywood cinematographer, but as far as coming up with an idea, I want to fight a robot. I want to be a secret agent. Like I want to be in a, you know, do a reggae one. I want to do whatever and like have fun with it. There's
right.
one I did with a girl on the beach. We drove out to Hammonasset. I got this girl I know who's a pinup model to like come just walk around the beach. And I'm looking through like spy glasses and stuff. That
Hmm.
one cost me like $0 and it's
Wow.
hilarious and it's like a vibe. So yeah, I love making the videos. I had one with Miss USA from about
Nice.
5 years ago called Let Me Know. And that had Miss USA 2014 in it. And that's on a yacht. And I think that one is like all the way in the flex. And then I have loads of stuff all the way in the other direction. But I have a lot of fun with that. Because you just call people and you say, yo, I have cameras, I got a crew, we're doing, but people want to be in a movie. People want to shoot. So yeah, check out the videos. I want people to drop me a line at Clockwise on everything and tell me what's your favorite. I have many different stories. I play up on movies a lot. They really have a lot of acting in them, and like you said, I do think other than being very light, they're very well done, and I'm proud of the
Hmm.
channel for sure.
Yeah, I was overseeing Tell Me as I'm talking to you right now on the radio. It was really pretty cool to see visually the little story you were telling. Was that the Hartford train station you guys were at?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Nice.
Yeah, the Tell Me So is like have a girl in it that is basically like leaving me. She's done
Hmm.
sick of my stuff, and so she leaves with her bags, drives away, gets to the train station, and so we went to the Hartford train station in the
Yeah.
afternoon during the pandemic, I guess, in the middle of it, where there weren't a lot of people, and that was just. These are these happy accidents that cost you $0 but are amazing. If you look at the Tell Me So video, it looks like
Hmm.
I closed the street off. You don't see people walking by. You don't see
No.
like people pointing at us.
Mm-mm.
I got this great, it's a long shot. So if you guys are film people, check it out. It's this like long tracking shot all in the front of the train station, me trying to catch my girlfriend. And none of it got screwed up by
No.
people in the background. And that was divine, like, and free and ingenious, right?
Well, no, there was a lot of blessings that did come from the pandemic. We actually had a phenomenal photographer on, I think, last year or the year before. And he was talking about, he's able to go like into New York City and take a shot, on some of these iconic streets that before, he couldn't even lift up his elbow to take the picture because someone was going to bump into it. And now you have this atmosphere. I remember even just going out to, take a walk to go get groceries or something like that in New Haven. I throw on the headset, put on my all independent Spotify playlist, and I go about the day. But to walk around and almost where it is like zero life that happens, and being someone who loves movies as well, you have that like, oh man, this is the point where the dude jumps out from the bush and the zombie is going to come attack me now. But it's such an incredible feeling to have where you can see life, but it's not as busy. I love the fact that the pandemic did make everyone kind of stop and think and appreciate. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head several times. As artists, now every show is so appreciated. It isn't like, oh man, I got to play like 4 shows this week. Yeah, this can be ridiculous. Right. It's like, yo, I have 4 shows this month and it's dope. I got 1 show this month and that show is going to be the best show ever because I've got it. And that's great. As obviously we had this new tick up and now things seem to be quieting down a little bit. Do you find it easier right now to book March and April, or do you still have that gun-shy feeling of, I'm going to try to book it, but like it's probably going to get canceled, so I'm not sure, and I don't really feel right doing it? Where do you sit with that?
It's definitely been easier. The one that I really was bummed about was I was actually on the bill. I was going like that weekend, right when COVID hit, I was opening for Riff Raff, and that got canceled like that weekend, which is a bummer because we're not exactly the same, but we're similar enough where it's like good vibes. I knew that show was going to be turned up. So like that, I was wondering if I was going to go anyway. And this is when we knew nothing about COVID. And I remember that getting canceled and me being like, man, and I didn't think it would be, 2 years, but the outdoor shows have been good. I love doing festivals. If people have stuff going on, let me know. I'd love to come and jam out with everybody. So I do find it's starting to go in the right direction, and people are ready.
And that's awesome to hear on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ BlueZ is in the building, doing his little awesome dance on behind the brand. EZ BlueZ, go right ahead.
Now that you bring up an incredible point as per festival. What is it now? We've had a couple people on. We had Spark Kent on, who started his career doing festivals and different things like that. What is your opinion on these festivals? And, is it something that younger artists should take a look at, or is it something they should wait on? And for those artists that are just about to hit that level, how do they go about to get on some of these festivals?
Yeah, it definitely, I feel like it used to be a little easier too, because when there were more venues, nowadays a lot of venues can just pay a DJ instead of paying bands. So I used to feel like there were more places to really play music and to be seen, and a lot of that stuff is talking to everyone that comes to your show. You Facebook all these people, you find out who books for what. Someone you were nice to ends up being a booking person. That happens all the time. And yeah, I mean, you have to have an EPK. So, I mean, that's a big thing. Obviously, the EPK, the electronic press kit. And I've been lucky. A lot of it, like I said, is going and being nice to just asking people how they got to the show and what do they do. And you just find amazing stuff, man. That's how I got on Warped, was through just people talking about it. That you'd be nice to everyone. Work hard and be nice. Yeah.
Work hard and be nice. And also, like we said before, treat every show like it is that festival. So make sure that your setup time is on point. Make sure that your breakdown time is on point. Make sure that you're in the crowd when the other acts are going on.
Oh,
and go ahead. I just want to just one thing before you get there. The main point too is, as an artist, that there's some times where you can struggle up there on stage. So if you're an artist, get in that crowd, get up front, lock eyes with that performer. and give them your energy and let them know they're not alone up there, because that's super important. And you're really good at that. So I wanted to give you that.
You guys too. And that is something that's part of not taking it for granted and not being in an ego thing and going back to your car or to your dressing room or going to talk to girlfriends or whatever. It's like, yeah, it matters and it's always seen. But one thing I was going to say is that one thing that works when you're an indie artist that I've definitely done and been involved with is you get 6 or 8 or 10 of your, bands that are all people you're good with professionally, and you throw your own festival. People don't need to know, other than getting permits and all that, people don't need to know who booked it, what companies sponsored it, blah, blah, blah. You throw the bands on a poster, call it a blah, blah, blah fest, get a bar to sponsor you to let you do it for a day or something. Literally throw the flyer together, put all the bands on it, and you would be surprised at how far that goes, like on the internet. You put that on the internet. You don't need to tell people this is something that, we're putting together ourselves. It's not important. You just put it up, big fest, all these bands, and you would really be surprised. That's one thing I want to tell artists, because that's a great way to start yourself in the festival scene. People see you on these other posters for festivals, and then you start really picking up.
Now that's awesome. Now, unfortunately, like all of our interviews, our time is starting to run a little thin. At this point in time, we want to give these last couple of minutes 100% to you. Promote anything you've got coming through, anything you've got coming out this coming March. And also just tell them how they can get in touch with you and really connect with you on that personal level.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
So if you're new to the Wise World thing, it's KLOKWIZE, Clockwise, on everything. And I'm on all the streaming apps. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter. I love Twitter. If you're someone there, drop me a line if you tell me how you like the episode. And yeah, so I have a bunch of music up there, bunch of new releases. Call me crazy, tell me so, all is good. I have another one coming out actually that I can announce here. Is my next single is with Uncle Dave, who's Uncle Dave Furman, who worked with Nipsey, and he's on the Silk Sonic album as well. So that's going to be coming out in the springtime, and I have this whole full-length album about done. So get plugged in on the YouTube, and let me know what you think. And treat each other well, guys. KLOKWIZE.
That's awesome.
Clockwise, thank you for being part of Behind the Brand with myself, Prestige, and Easy Blues on WNHH LP 103.5 FM.
I just don't know what to keep and what needs to go. So if I'm in the dark or if I'm still in your heart, I need you to tell me so. I need you to tell me so. I need you to tell me so. Nobody wanna be told that they're out on their own. I need you to tell me so. It's time to truth us out through the shouting and moving clouds. Superficial issues, just tell me what you gon' do without. I'm moving up and moving out. Stupid loud, fluid style, schooling crowds. Proud, but I wish you could've removed the doubts. Where do you turn when the armor is heavy? The karma's a bevy and caught as a six or rolling your Chevy with like everything you want in a zone farthest from steady. Regardless of anything, can you walk with me? I'm ready. Baby, I just don't know what to keep and what needs to go. So if I'm in the dark or if I'm still in your heart, I need you to tell me so. I need you to tell me so. I need you to tell me so. Nobody wanna be told that they're out on their own. I need you to tell me so. Everybody talking about leaving town. Benzos and Lambos dating all around. But I'm cool here with you and those hips. And baby girl, you look love with those lips. And I'm not trying to play these games anymore. I'ma stick to my grind and I know you got yours. But don't hide away pretending that you don't want a part of this. And you know I need you to